Hello. Hello and welcome. If you're new here, which you probably are, Guten Tag. I wanted to read some banned books just for funsies and also to know what all of the hubbub is about. If you didn't already know, or if you don't live in the US, or if you maybe live under a rock, lots of jurisdictions in the US are banning books so that children can't read them. I think that that is a really bad sign and does not indicate that we are headed in the right direction as a country. Just for like a very small amount of background, public libraries and also schools are sort of getting caught in the middle of this highly politicized crossfire between mostly conservative parents and politicians. There are a lot of parents that are complaining about their children having access to books that they claim, usually the claim is that they're like pornographic or are trying to like groom our children. And just for context here, a lot of these works have existed for many years before they started getting banned, which is a pretty good indication that this is a very political thing and not an actual genuine reaction. According to the American Library Association, in 2021, there were like around 1,600 challenges against individual books, which was the highest number since the group began tracking book bans, which was around 20 years ago. And in 2022, the association documented that between the beginning of the year and August 31st, there were 681 attempts to ban or restrict library resources, and 1,651 unique titles were targeted. And also, according to PEN America, during the first half of the 2022-2023 school year, they counted like 1,500 instances of individual books that were banned, which translates to about 880 unique titles. If you want to know some more about all the book banning that's happening right now, I will leave some resources in the description. But I just wanted to read some of them just to sort of see what all the ruckus is about, and just to sort of form my own opinion about them. So yeah, I moseyed on down to my local library and picked up 3 books, and I'm just gonna get right into it. So the first one that I read was All Boys Aren't Blue by George R. Johnson. This is a young adult memoir, which is just a memoir targeted towards young adults. Johnson does a really good job at like very clearly establishing intention for the book many times throughout the book, because I think that they probably knew pretty early on that this book was going to get some backlash. I don't think Johnson really expected that it would get so much, but it did. They say this book will touch on sexual assault, loss of virginity, homophobia, racism, and anti-blackness. These discussions at times may be a bit graphic, but nonetheless they are experiences that many reading this book will encounter or have already encountered. And I think that that pretty much goes for all 3 of the books that I'll be talking about right now. It's quite clear that the people who wrote all of these have the intention of providing visibility to people who may have gone through the same things or are currently going through the same things or will go through the same things that these people have gone through. Anyways, this is one of the most banned books of this 2022-2023 school year, just for context. I really liked this. It touches on such a wide variety of issues that I think everyone deals with at least once in their life. It deals with familial death, death of close friends, the death of his abuser, school crushes, gender roles in sports, and just like tons of other issues that I think anyone would benefit from reading about, especially younger kids. It's very clear that this is a young adult memoir, and like there are certain times where I think Johnson could have gone further and crossed the line, and they didn't, specifically because they knew that this was directed towards younger people. I just thought it was executed really well. There were some things that didn't make a ton of sense to me. Like there's one part where they talk about finding out that their first name is George and not Matthew, and they kind of like equate that to the larger identity crisis that trans and non-binary folk might go through with their own names, which I guess isn't like that big of a jump, but it was just kind of, it felt a little bit forced to me. I also just really appreciated all of the insights into like Black familial culture that this book provides. Generally, I thought it was really well done, and I think can be beneficial for so many young people. And you know, I just hope that this remains available to the people who need it. The next one that I read is Genderqueer by Maya Kobabe. This is a graphic memoir that was published in 2019 and has really gotten caught up in all of the controversy. Most of the controversy has stemmed from people claiming that it is too sexually explicit for young kids to read. Most people saying that it is like straight up pornographic, and it has been banned from shelves in more states than any other book. Same story for this one. Even though it was published in 2019, the pushback didn't actually come until 2021, so the political agenda is pretty clear. It became the most banned book of that year, according to the American Library Association and the free speech organization PEN. Yeah, Republican officials in North and South Carolina, Texas, and Virginia called for the book's removal, sometimes calling it pornographic. It has become a pretty popular talking point among other Republican officials as well, including Glenn Youngkin, Ron DeSantis, and Henry McMaster of South Carolina, who called it obscene and pornographic and likely illegal. There is like kind of a silver lining to all that. In 2021, the book saw a 130% increase in print sales in May, which came after dozens of schools and libraries had removed it from its shelves. I thought this was super insightful and a really interesting look inside Kobabe's exploration of their own gender. Kobabe has said in interviews that this book is not intended for very young children, and it is directed towards people in their older teens and like older young adults. So there are some more like explicit moments in this, but I think that anyone who's grappling with their gender, whether you're cis or you're not, it does involve like exploring your own body and sort of discovering what you like and you don't like. So to me, it's pretty obvious that the reason why this is getting so much attention is not because it's sexually explicit, because if this was a book about a cis heterosexual boy discovering his own sexuality, it would be like gifted from parents to children as like an educational book. But just because Kobabe is non-binary, it is pornographic. I think that there are a lot of really important learning moments that Kobabe has gone through that I think can be really useful for a lot of young people, and also probably provide some clarity for adults who had these sort of same feelings when they were younger, or are still having these feelings now and don't have any representation and don't have any way of sort of grappling with it. But I don't know. I would encourage that, like any of the books that I talk about, obviously, that you sort of read it and form your own opinion about it, because there's a lot of stuff in here. And I don't know, I've read some reviews online from people in the queer community who also like have some issues with this. And so, I don't know, I just think that everybody should read it and form their own opinions and not just take them from the internet. The last book I read is Flamer by Mike Curado, and it's primarily based on Curado's experience being a gay Filipino Boy Scout. Again, the same thing with this one as the other three. Curado said in an interview that it's funny because back in 2020, when the book was first released, there was no book challenges against Flamer, and then in 2021, a Texas lawmaker shared his McCarthy-esque list of over 800 books that he wanted investigated. Curado also said in an interview that it's an honest book and it's nothing worse than what you'd find in a Judy Blume book, which makes a lot of sense. I remember reading Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret when I was very young, and I think that this book serves the same function. I like this. It was definitely the least explicit out of the three books. The art style wasn't my favorite, but I think it serves its purpose, and I think it's definitely more suited towards kids on the younger side. I just think that this is so harmless and useful, and I just don't understand. I don't get any of it. But yeah, if you're interested in the issue of book banning at all, I encourage you to do your own research. I'll leave some links in the description as well. But I really liked reading these. I've also read tons of other banned books, just not knowing that they were banned books, like The Bluest Eye, Looking for Alaska, Brown Girl Dreaming. I'm sure that there are so many other books that I've already read that I didn't know were on the banned books list for a lot of jurisdictions. Yeah, I just think that we should all be reading more of these, and I will definitely continue to do so. And I'll see you in the next one.